Wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Others believe victory requires strategy and a mastery of power.
Hearthstone couldn't have been made by anyone other than Blizzard. You can grasp the fundamentals of this deceptively simple card game within an hour and still be surprised hundreds of matches later. Innumerable small touches and a keen eye for balance conspire to help Hearthstone dominate your free time. Hearthstone feels like free-to-play done right, and you won't need to spend a single cent to keep a decent competitive edge. Those that have played other card games like Magic the Gathering or even Pokemon will see a lot of similarities in Hearthstone. Everything played has an associated cost, displayed on the top left corner of the card, and you pay for cards by using mana. 1 mana is gained every turn up to a maximum of 10, and the pool is filled at the beginning of every turn. This means you're almost always able to play something, and as each player's mana reserves grow, more expensive and more powerful cards will enter the battlefield. You'll rarely find yourself in matches that feel like they drag along, and even if you're playing against a skilled and careful opponent, games don't often stretch beyond the 15-minute mark. Speed is a big reason why Hearthstone works. The sting of defeat isn't too discouraging since you'll never invest too much time in a single match. A lot of the fun in Hearthstone comes from making a deck, playing a few games, then changing the deck based on what worked and what didn't. Regardless of what type of deck you build, a lot of its personality will come from your chosen class. There are currently 9 classes in Hearthstone, and each has a specific set of additional cards that can only be used if you pick that class. Every class is enjoyable, and perhaps more importantly, it's possible to do very well with any of them. A lot of it comes down to preference, such as choosing between a mage who uses ice and fire spells to counter enemy plays, or a hunter, a typically aggressive class that establishes dominance through a legion of beasts. Further distinguishing classes are hero powers, which can be used for a cost of 2 mana. The benefits of these powers are small, but can add up over time, such as the Paladin hero power, which summons a small knight. On his own, the knight doesn't do much, but if buffed with other cards, or if there are several of them in play, the knights can help swing a match in your favor. It's easy to find a preferred class and stick with it, but the game does a good job of encouraging players to branch out. Daily quests often require you to win a certain number of matches with one of 2 random classes, offering gold upon completion. Since gold is the only way to acquire non-basic cards without spending money, it's a strong incentive. Quests have their allure, but the truly bold will want to venture into the arena. By paying a small entry fee with either gold or real money, players have the chance to pick from a random selection of classes and cards to come up with a finished deck. After that, it's off to the races, and you compete until you've accumulated either 12 wins or 3 losses. At the end of a run, a reward is issued, and the more wins means better stuff. Arena feels like Hearthstone at its best because it offers the most even playing field. Everyone has an equal chance of drafting great cards, which leads to some intense matches. There's nothing like losing your first 2 games only to go on a spectacular win streak and earn more than enough to buy your way into another battle. Arena is great, but new players will definitely be at a disadvantage. If you don't know which cards are good and why, you'll repeatedly draft poor decks and wind up with a low number of wins. Those not quite prepared for the challenge can pump up their skills in either bot matches or low-pressure casual matches with other players. Regardless of how you choose to play Hearthstone, you'll find a surprising level of charisma. There are plenty of things littering the margins of the playing field you can fiddle with, while waiting for an opponent to finish a turn. On the Ogrimmar-themed board, for example, you can load rocks into a catapult and fire away, only to hear some poor beast cry in pain a second or 2 later. These little distractions don't seem like much, but become easily appreciated when your opponent is in no hurry to finish their turn.
Taste my sting!
Other embellishments help make cards more than just static numbers. Upon playing King Crush, a legendary dinosaur, the entire board rumbles and the card lets out a monstrous roar. Its stats convey the card as powerful, but the short animation and sound actually make it convincing. For all of its meticulous design, Hearthstone has some puzzling omissions. The most obvious of these is the lack of any sort of spectator functionality. Since the game conveys information in such a concise, digestible manner, you can actually get noticeably better just by watching people. Not having a way to spectate within the game means players have to resort to outside channels if they want to kick bad habits. There is a thriving Hearthstone community on Twitch that features plenty of charming and skilled streamers, but you can't make them broadcast on command. Hearthstone's other major issue is that there just aren't enough cards. Be prepared to run into the same types of decks featuring many of the same cards, since there aren't many viable variations for each of the classes. You will run into clever players who have imaginative decks, but it happens rarely.
Rare.
Many of the best cards in the game are available from the start, such as Chillwind Yeti, a powerful and versatile minion that has a relatively cheap cost. Since you always have an abundance of valuable cards available, smart play typically trumps all else. You can even dissolve unwanted cards in order to craft the missing links for your perfect deck. The system ensures that those who choose not to spend an absurd amount of money will have a chance at getting what they want. Whether you want to treat Hearthstone as a frivolous time waster or you're looking for a new obsession, the game is a blast either way. It caters to every type of player. If you're a Warcraft fan, there are plenty of nods to the series you love. And even if you've never crafted War, it doesn't really matter. Hearthstone is thoughtful and complex, but at the same time, welcoming and almost irresistible. It may just be a card game, but it often feels like so much more.
But of course, you could forget all that. And just have fun!